All right, welcome to our Google Hangout, All Things Man United. I'm Joey Tabor. He's Daniel Harrington. Today we're going to be discussing Louis van Gaal. There was a brilliant post that was brought to my attention on a forum by a United fan who's Dutch, explaining Louis van Gaal, his tactics, his philosophy, everything you wanted to know about it. And we're also going to be previewing the Spurs game this Sunday. It's a massive, massive game at Old Trafford. Kickoff is at 5 p.m. It's a 6-point match. Places in the top four, they're going to be real hard to come by. So this one will be a really important game. Harry Kane's on form, but we'll get into that. Um, First off, I wanted to talk about his philosophy, Louis van Gaal. A lot of us struggle to find out what it is. Some people think it's a formation. Some thinks it's the way he wants to play. But in this post, we're gonna go through this post and we're gonna dissect it a little bit and talk about that. He explains that his philosophy isn't just one thing. Now we know Louis van Gaal's English isn't the best. Anybody can see that. So rather than explain everything, he just uses philosophy as his term. It's almost like saying his culture, because what his philosophy is the way he trains. The way he plans the game tactics. How he talks to the players, how training sessions are ran, just his overall culture and what he does. That's his philosophy. Yes, it's possession based, and we're going to get into the sideways passing because he goes into that too, and I think it kind of opened up my eyes and it answered a lot of questions. So Dan, first thing we're going to talk about is the defense. Now, every good team, every solid championship-winning team is built on the foundation of a good defense. Now, when you look at our defense, it doesn't exactly scream quality. We have Chris Smalling, Johnny Evans, and Phil Jones as our options, more or less, for the right center back. Now, obviously, you would agree that those four, they're not what you would, or those three aren't what you would build a good defense on.
No, they're certainly not. I mean, we should really have invested heavily in the summer on our defence, but we didn't buy enough defenders, in my opinion. We let some really experienced defenders go in Rio Ferdinand, Vidic, and Patrice Evra, and we've replaced them with obviously some inexperienced players. Really, I mean, Rojo obviously had played at the World Cup, and I thought he would be quite a decent player, and he's getting there. He's turning into a quality player, but still not on the level of the likes of Vidic yet. So Smalling has had some decent games over the last few weeks, but still he's not world class, is he? I really do worry when Phil Jones and Johnny Evans play because they're really not up to Manchester United standard. And when they did have to step in a few years ago, we had a lot of experienced players at the back and in midfield and up front. So it wasn't too noticeable when one had to slip in, but now when the rest of the team's not great, it's really showing when they're playing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. When you bring in a couple years ago, when you would be able to bring in Smalling or Jones or Evans and put them along Ferdinand or Vidic, you felt okay because you knew that the experience and the quality was there and the leadership. I think we lack a serious leader at the back. Rojo could be that leader, but he barely speaks any English. We see him very vocal on the pitch, and it's the same thing with David De Gea. He's not the most, he is vocal, but he's not what you would call a leader yet. He's just learning English. I know he doesn't do many interviews because his English isn't perfect. So when you have a back four or a back line that you can't trust, it throws everything off. And we've seen this really, really cautious style of play under Van Gaal. It's almost it's quite boring to watch, and people think that this is the way he wants to play football, and it's not. It's not at all. Van Gaal is known throughout his career to play free-flowing 4-3-3 attacking football. Now, in this possession-based game, there's going to be four defensive players, he explains. Your two center backs, your center defensive midfielder, Daley Blind, and your box-to-box. We don't have the box-to-box. Some people want it to be Ander Herrera, but these four players, these defensive players, their job is just to keep the ball moving and to not lose possession and not attempt anything too risky. If the pass is there, the forward pass, the risky pass, and you make that pass, if our team is in a bad position to defend, if you give the ball away, Van Gaal isn't going to be happy with that. that is why Ander Herrera hasn't played a lot, and that's why I don't know if he'll play this Sunday, because I think he'll play Michael Carrick as the defensive midfielder and Daley Blind in his box to box. I said this in a video a couple months ago. I said in the Dutch midfield you need a number 10, a center defensive midfielder, and a box to box. The fact of the matter is, what generally I'm trying to get at is that we lack the players and the quality. Those are major things in this. So, you know, going into that, Dan, what do you think about Ander Herrera? What is his future? Because obviously, I was just explaining the midfield three. His last season at Bilbao, he played as a number 10. Can you see Ander Herrera maybe stepping into the number 10 role? Because it seems that he's too risky at box to box for Van Gaal.
Yeah, it's difficult to know even whether Van Gaal was really the main reason why he actually come to Manchester United, as it was reported that we were going to sign him before. So it is interesting to know where he's going to take this forward. I mean, there is always that chance you could play him in the number 10 role, but obviously we've got so many players that can play that position. You've got Wayne Rooney, Angel Di Maria's played there, Fellaini, Mata, Januzaj. There's so many players that have played in that position or can play in that position. So he probably won't play him in that position. I don't seem to think, because of the amount of players that we've got that can pick from in that position. I mean, David Moyes brought in Juan Mata and Fellaini to play in that for the number 10 roles. I mean, we don't need that amount of players in the number 10, do we? I mean, so
No.
I would presume that he'll probably stick with playing Herrera where he's playing him now if he continues to play him there. Or I don't know, he might go back to playing Michael Carrick in the midfield. But I don't think that Michael Carrick and Daley Blind are going to continue to play there next season. Definitely not.
Right. And even when he came in, I remember in the summer, in one of his first press conferences, he says, this squad is just completely unbalanced. And that's the balance that he's looking for. He's looking for the center defensive midfielder, the box-to-box. He has his two center backs. And then going forward, even in the summer, he said, I don't have quality wingers like Di Maria. And it's true, because while Ashley Young is playing pretty good, and he scored that goal against Newcastle, he's just an average player playing on a good run of form, and this is a good run of form for him. You know, I would rather, this is what a United winger should be doing regularly, what Ashley Young is doing on good form. So I want to get into the possession thing, because now I talked about the four defensive players. In Louis Van Gaal's system, there's four offensive players: the striker, the number 10, and the two wingers. Those players are allowed to be creative. They're allowed to take risks, lose the ball, and pretty much everything is built around the number 10. So going into that, a lot, I've seen Howson on Full Time Devils say it a lot, and I started watching it a few weeks ago. When Daley Blind and Ander Herrera come collect the ball off the back four, they're looking up and they're looking to make a safer pass. And it makes so much sense now to me. When they do this, they're not allowed to make a crazy risky pass. So what they do is they'll pass it sideways to recycle possession, and that's what Van Gaal wants. He doesn't want us to lose the ball. He wants us to keep the ball moving. If Daley Blind and Herrera look up and Ashley Young, Di Maria, who's been playing, Fellaini, and Rooney are covered, they pass it backwards and sideways to keep going, to keep it moving. And what's happening is those front four are just way too stagnant. They're not making enough movement and getting open, because part of that is you have to create space for your teammates. Ashley Young has to drag a fullback out of position so that the number 10 can make space. Now, I know that Fellaini's been playing in the 10, which really throws us all off for me.
Yeah.
But it starts to make sense to me that's why there's so much sideways and backwards passing, because Louis Van Gaal doesn't want him to lose the ball. He wants to keep it moving. Now, the ball should be moving a lot quicker than it is. When Herrera passes it to Blind and then maybe he goes back to Smalling, there's too much time dwelling on the ball. You have to keep it moving. And those front four have to keep it moving and create space. And that's why we're seeing it. And it goes back to a lack of quality, and these players just aren't understanding Louis Van Gaal's philosophy. Is that starting to make any sense to you, Dan?
Yeah, it's starting to make a bit of sense now. I mean, it is difficult. I mean, we still need a lot of players in this team. I mean, it was never all going to happen overnight. I mean, it does take time. No team in Europe has gone from seventh to first so quick with changing all their whole team, have they? I mean, but I think we are going to get there with Van Gaal. I'm still remaining confident that he can complete this job.
Yeah, absolutely. And what it's coming back to is that he doesn't trust his back four. There's certain players he just doesn't trust. Ander Herrera in the box-to-box role is too risky for him. So there are questions that have to be asked of Van Gaal. And my thing is, in this post that I read, he puts a severe emphasis on the number 10. And it would seem that we have the most perfect player for his system and his philosophy in Juan Mata. Because Juan Mata is asked not to do too much defensive work, which we know he doesn't like to do, and he's just asked to be creative and to set his teammates up or pop in the goals himself. This is why it's baffling me why he's playing Fellaini, is he's taking a safer option. But what really, now that I think about it, is it's easy to lump the ball up to Fellaini than play it to his feet. But we've looked to play it more to feet lately because it's a safer option. And when we do that, the team is in a good setup to defend in case we lose the ball. So it is strange with Juan Mata. What do you think about Juan Mata? Isn't it a little strange that he's not getting game time when he seems to be Louis van Gaal's prototypical number 10? And also, do you remember in the summer he kind of did the same thing to Wesley Sneijder before the World Cup? I think he benched him, and he said that he wouldn't get game time unless he adapted.
Yeah, it is a bit strange because I would soon have Juan Mata in over Fellaini, but I don't know what's happened. I mean, Fellaini's not the best player in the world, but he's probably the best player that we could play in that number 10 role for me. But we're going to have to see where it goes. I've got my real doubts whether we're going to keep him at the club next season. I mean, I really can't for the life of me see why Fellaini is starting games now. I mean, he's not a Manchester United first team player. I mean, um, Juan Mata was doing a lot better than Fellaini. I personally think. I mean, he's still chipped in with about 6 goals this season. So, I mean, he's not completely been terrible, but obviously, I still believe that Juan Mata could do more in certain games and influence them more than he was. That was probably why Louis van Gaal's taken him out of the team. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, and maybe he's saving him for these 10 games. I'm not too sure. But we've seen Louis van Gaal change it over the season. We started off with a back three, then we went to the diamond. Now we're playing almost a 4-4-1-1, 4-2-3-1. So Louis van Gaal will change it, and I believe in time he will get it right. He's got the proven track record. People always compare him to Moyes and his record. But the thing is, under Moyes, we were absolutely dreadful. 3-0 here, 3-0 there. 1-0 at home to Newcastle. People tend to forget that, and they think it's like, it's as easy as just hire and fire a manager and then go get Pep Guardiola. And I said, do you think Pep Guardiola is going to come here and he's going to, deal with Ashley Young and Antonio Valencia and Chris Smalling? You're fucking joking yourself, Pep Guardiola has stumbled into 2 great teams, and I think his track record of buying players isn't really the best. You think about Ibrahimovic. That's the first one that comes to mind. Selling Yaya Toure. So, it is what it is under him. I don't understand the whole sacking Louis van Gaal, thinking that that's going to be the answer. He's laying the foundations for what's to come. And I think next year you have to give him another summer to clear out more of the dead wood. Because we know under Louis van Gaal he plays a 4-3-3 with wingers. And it's a real nice, attractive style of football to watch. People are saying he's ruining United and talk about the United way, which is 4-4-2 with wingers, fast attacking play. And I think you just got to give it some time. You didn't see that under Van Gaal, under David Moyes. Sorry. How many crosses did we put in against Fulham again? How many was that? Over 80. So I don't understand that. And it's funny because under David Moyes, I remember videos on Full Time Devils and things like that saying, stop playing 4-4-2, it's an ancient formation, this and that. So I want him to get time. What do you think, Daniel? Do you think he should be given time? Or say Real Madrid sack Ancelotti. Would you bring in Carlo Ancelotti, or would you stick with Van Gaal?
Well, I personally think we should give him another summer just to clear out the rest of the dead
Even if
wood.
we don't get top 4.
Well, it is difficult if we don't get top 4, but I think we're going to have to stick with him and clear out the rest of the dead wood, definitely get a right back in and a few other players in midfielder. It looks like we'll have to get at least one, possibly two new strikers in as well. It remains to be seen whether David De Gea leaves. We might need another goalkeeper. So whoever comes, if we got Ancelotti, he's going to have to do a overhaul as well. So it's going to take him time again. So I don't know if it's the best solution to just go and get another manager in, because it might not really improve us.
And you hit the nail right on the head there. If Ancelotti comes in, you know, he's going to have to start his whole thing, and that's just going to set us further back if we sack Louis van Gaal. And it's funny you said that, because this week we've been linked with two strikers. One was Berahino, who was actually someone took a picture of him at the United Arsenal game from Monday. I don't remember who the other one is. I want to say it was Cavani, but I could be wrong. So yeah, and I think some of it is, the players he's brought in, Louis van Gaal, they need time to adjust, and it's a process. And Sir Alex Ferguson took a couple years. What if this was in the 80s, and people had the technology they did now, and social media was so as powerful as it was? Would Sir Alex Ferguson even have gotten that time? No, because people are so impatient. They just they need it now, no matter what. And me personally, I think you got to give the guy time. He knows what he's doing. Fair enough. If by next spring things haven't changed, well, I fully expect him to, so I'm not even going to get into that. Then you talk about it. You got to give him at least 2 seasons. Roy Keane said it. Gary Neville said it. Everyone who has an intelligent opinion about it can see the bigger picture, that he's the right man for the job. And if he's not, then I'll eat my words. Having said that, and we were talking about how many players we want to bring in. I think towards the end of the summer we'll do a perfect summer transfer window where we'll name certain positions and the ideal players. And summer's going to be great, because now you're going to have a guy that's not been at the World Cup. He's going to come right in. He's probably going to take a few weeks after the end of the season to regroup. Hopefully we'll be in the top 4. And then he'll go and get the players. He'll have a full summer. He'll have scouted all year, and Woodward will know. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see what happens. Having said that, I'm going to hand it over to Dan. We're going to get into the Tottenham preview. Leave your comments. We're going to leave the link to that post, because for me it answered a lot of questions I had about Louis van Gaal, and I think it was just good reading. I enjoy to read about things like that. But get your comments in below. Did I start to make sense with the possession philosophy? Am I a moron, which somebody called me in the last video? I forget what he called me. But if you're going to call me a moron, grab a direct quote and show me, that you know what you're talking about. Or come on the video. This is an open fan channel. Anyone can come on. We're going to have some new guests coming on. And I'll hand it to Dan for the Tottenham preview.
Yeah, so moving along to this Tottenham game, it's not going to be an easy game, is it, at Old Trafford on Sunday. Tottenham, you're never actually quite sure what you're going to get from Tottenham either. A few weeks ago they beat Arsenal. They lost to Chelsea in the League Cup final. So
I always want to call it the Carling Cup final too.
Yeah, so we're not too sure what we're going to really get from Tottenham, are we? It's not going to be an easy walkover by all means, this game.
No.
We're obviously not in the best form. We're not scoring tons of goals. I don't know how you really see this game going. I suppose you think it's going to be a tight game.
Absolutely.
This one.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. They've beaten us the last 2 times I can remember at Old Trafford. 2 years ago it was like Dempsey and Bale were scoring, and then last year they beat us under David Moyes. Tottenham are a strange team, because they have decent players, but they can never ever get over that hump of getting into the top 4 and consistently, winning games and competing. Now they have a good manager, obviously, Mauricio Pochettino. He knows what he's doing. They got Harry Kane. He's playing well. He's popping in the goals. They're coming off a draw with West Ham. They lost to Liverpool, but before that they beat Arsenal. So anything can happen with Tottenham. The good thing is that Louis van Gaal will study Tottenham again. We should have beat him the first time. I think Juan Mata hit the post. Van Persie was one-on-one with the keeper. Hugo Lloris had a great save. But I think it's going to be more of the same. I think we're going to have the possession, and they're going to want to hit us on the counter, and I think we got to be very careful about that. Obviously, Di Maria will be suspended. Ashley Young is rumored to be hurt, so it's going to be tough, man. This is the start of this 10-game run where every game is a cup final, and I think it'll be okay if we lose one or two of these games. But I think right now this is a game that we can't lose. I think if we want to be in the top four, then we got to win this game. So I really, really, really want Juan Mata to start. And I think, having said that and reading about his philosophy, the number 10, and being so important, I hope he doesn't go out and buy somebody, because I think we should be building the team around Juan Mata. He's still relatively young, 26, 27. He's still got about 4 or 5 good years left in him. And I think we should be building the team around Juan Mata. Because in a few years, Rooney's going to pass to the mid. Either he's going to drop into the midfield or go. I don't know how many years up top he's going to spend. Van Persie's already, 33? Falcao's not staying. We need to start getting younger, and we need to start getting in more quality. But I really want to build a team around Juan Mata is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, well, as you said, it's not going to be easy, and we've really got to win this game. I mean, a draw is just not going to be good enough in this game, as we've got Liverpool coming up on the horizon in the next week. So obviously they've got some really difficult, tricky players that we've really got to watch for this game. As you mentioned there, Harry Kane, he got 2 goals against QPR the other day, so he's in quality form. I mean, Chelsea really snubbed him out very well in that League Cup final. If you watch that, I mean, they did a pretty decent job on Kane. He didn't really get a sniff in the game at all. I think it was Eriksen come the closest, wasn't it, from a free kick in that game. So he's a player that we've really got to watch, isn't he, Eriksen? I mean, on his day, he can.
I completely forgot to mention him. Sorry.
Yeah, he can score great free kicks. He scored a few other goals. I don't know if you noticed, Tottenham have actually, I think they've been the team that's actually got the most points from goals in the last minutes this season. And our goal against Newcastle, I think, was our first winner in the last few minutes since 2012. So since Alex Ferguson's left, we haven't scored a late winner. I know we've got a couple of draws late on in games, but I haven't been too overly excited with them, because draws don't really get you a lot in this league. But Tottenham have sneaked a hell of a lot of points late on in games. So, I mean, they're not going to finish in the top 4 this season. I think it's between ourselves and Liverpool who get that 4th spot, but we really do need to buck our ideas up. What sort of lineup are you actually going to go for? I know you said you want Juan Mata in there. Do you want Falcao to come back and Januzaj to play, or
no?
What sort?
I'm a little disappointed with Januzaj for diving like that after he had gotten through. He's gotten booked for more simulations than he has goals scored. It's time to stop fucking around. Like, you're a 20-year-old kid. I understand that, but you're around professionals. And you remember my rant a few weeks ago about Januzaj and getting his head down and getting to work. He's just a frustrating player. I just seen he's been spending more time in the gym to try and bulk up, and that's great. But what good is that if you're going to dive around and flop around and try and cheat your way into penalties? You've already built up a reputation. It's time to stop fucking around. You're not a kid. You are a kid, but it's time to stop acting like one. So for me, I'm trying to figure out the best team for me to put in there, and I want Herrera and I want Mata to play. But the only way that happens is, like I was explaining earlier, the 4 defensive players. I am going to do a 4-4-2 diamond. So I'm going to go with David De Gea. You ready for this one? At right back, I'm going to put Rafael, because I think I've been really critical of Rafael all year, but he scored a nice goal in the under-21s. He's a right back, and I'm going to give him another chance. So I put him with Smalling, Rojo. Do we have a word on Shaw? Is Shaw injured?
I'm not too sure yet.
Well, I'm going to put Luke Shaw in there. If Luke Shaw isn't ready to go, Rojo will slot over to left back, and I want Tyler Blackett in there. And I think I'm going to go on a little bit of one here. We haven't seen him play Blackett and McNair lately, and it's because he's being really cautious. And I think that goes back to not trusting the defense, and being under the hot seat. Anyway, so at the base of my diamond will be Michael Carrick. He will be my CDM To the left will be Daley Blind. Daley Blind will move into a little bit more of an advanced role. He will be my box-to-box midfielder. On the right, Ander Herrera will be creating with Juan Mata as the 10, Rooney and Falcao up top. Now, Juan Mata, Rooney, Herrera, Blind, they can do some really nice one-touch passing around the field. They need to start, and I think it'll be interesting if I don't think he'll go with my team because he might stick with the 4-4-1-1 or the 4-2-3-1, but that's what I would like to see.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people seem to want Raphael to come back in because I put a tweet, I don't know if you saw a day or so ago, saying should Raphael come back into the team for the Tottenham game, and 14 people said he should to 4 that said he shouldn't. So it seems that people want him to come back into the team, but I don't know if that's more because Antonio Valencia made 2 cock-ups in that game the other day over the fact that he's or whether it's because he scored that goal against Tottenham in the under-21s. But he has scored some screamers for us over the past. It's just I think sometimes his lapses of concentration at the back aren't always the best. And obviously his fitness levels have been absolutely awful. I think he's been here over 6 years or 7 years or whatever it's been. And
been injured for like 3 of them.
Yeah, over the time he's probably adds up to about a year of spent on the treatment room or something. So there's no news on Luke Shaw yet, so we'll have to see what happens there. But hopefully he'll be able to play. If not, then Marcus Rojo will have to slip into that left back role again, which there's a good chance that will happen because I don't know what's happening with Shaw, but he looked maybe a bit leggy in that game the other day. I don't know if he was coming back from an injury. Although Louis van Gaal did say that he wasn't injured before that, but then there was reports that he had a slight hamstring injury, so I don't actually know what the situation actually was with him. There was reports he was also tired, but I don't think that the tiredness was the problem. I think it was probably a slight hamstring injury myself. But I would love to obviously see Juan Mata come back in. I think he can cause some damage. I mean, Tottenham aren't the best defensively, are they? I mean, we
No.
can score goals in this, but also
They
concede
do have a
goals
great
as well.
keeper though, and I think that's
Yeah,
what
they do have a great keeper.
Like us, it bails them out time
Yeah.
and time again.
Yeah, that is definitely true. I mean, I could see this actually being sort of a 1-1 or 2-2 draw.
Yeah.
I'm gonna I'll probably go for sort of a 2-1 victory. I think hopefully we can sneak it. I mean, I don't know where you see this game going. Do you think we're gonna win it, or do you think it's gonna be a draw or something?
I'm not going to predict the draw. This is what I'm going to say. I think it's going to be. My head is saying 1-1. As 1-1, that's what I think it's going to be. But I'm going to say it's going to be 1-0. That's what my heart says. But either way, fucking hell, we got to win this game if we want to be top 4. This is a game we got to win. Tottenham Hotspur at home. Come on. You know what I mean? They're not Barcelona.
Yeah, definitely. We've really got to get our act together and win this game. With Liverpool obviously on the horizon. I don't know if you've got any more thoughts you want to add before we finish it up.
No, just follow me on Twitter. It's right here at Joey Tabor. I have my own YouTube channel. If you would like to come on, send either of us a message on YouTube. We'll put the link to that beautiful post I read about the Dutch Van Gaal, which helps explain everything. Other than that, leave your starting 11 in the comments. I want to know if you want to see Juan Mata come back into the team. I want to know your score prediction. We'd like to get some more fan interaction, so let us know what you think. Also, we had a pre-match hangout for the Arsenal game. If you'd like to see that again, let us know.
Yeah, definitely. We can do that again sometime. Obviously, that giveaway is still going to happen at some point, I presume. You've got a shirt to give away.
Some point.
Yeah, a shirt to give away. We'll get the question up soon to let you know how you can win the England shirt, and Joey will show you what shirt it is you can win. Because before he sent out 2 pint glasses, which one of the subscribers got the question right to. So we're hopefully in the future we'll be giving away a lot more things. So stay tuned for that. Thanks to everyone for tuning in tonight and watching. Do let us know your thoughts below on anything through Louis van Gaal. The game on Sunday. Hopefully we can win this game, and we'll probably be back again to talk about how the game went.
Straight after.